What is going on, everybody? AHS Rules back again with another video, and I'll admit it has definitely been a hot minute since I made a video. It's been a whole week, and I do have several reasons for it. The main reason being my allergies have been whooping my ass, and it has been difficult to talk during this time period. There's also kind of been some topics I didn't want to talk about, and it's just kind of like I'm going to combine it all in this Shooting the Breeze episode. So it's probably not the smartest idea. Like I said, I don't want to talk a lot because it's very difficult to talk. But I'm going to talk for a very long time in this. But there's a lot to talk about, obviously. So the last Shooting the Breeze was the first 2 days of the playoffs. Since then, several series. I always get confused because I always want to say series, but I'm pretty sure series doesn't have a plural version, so it's just series. But anyways, multiple playoff matchups have ended. And so, obviously, I'll go through and get my thoughts on that. So, which, again, going to back it up a little bit, I was like, one of the main reasons I didn't make a video. These playoffs have been exhausting. I think that's the best way to put it. We're never going to get a fully healthy playoff run. And especially this year, if you look at if I was to look at these matchups, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 main player injuries. And obviously, I am forgetting some. And obviously, I'll go through it when I talk about the matchups. But just like seeing some of these injuries happen and just kind of took the energy out of it. Also, I'm a fan of smart, logical, and good basketball. So, for example, Knicks-Cavs Game 3. There was a several-minute time span where neither team could hit a shot. And I thought, Jesus Christ, this is not enjoyable. Which, obviously, a lot of the fan base, people watching that game didn't care because the aura, the magical experience of Madison Square Garden, which I understand and I respect it, but it's just like, this is not good basketball. Also, they're like, this is great Knicks defense. I'm like, in Game 4, definitely. Game 3, this just might be me being an asshole. I'm like, this is not good defense. This is just, neither team can make a shot. And obviously, Knicks came out on top, which, last thing, like I said, the main reason I didn't make a playoff prediction video is because I am a coward. And I pick with my heart and not my brain. And almost every team that I wanted to win has lost. In my mind. Because like I said, I never fully announced it. I'm definitely a coward and all that crap. Which we'll go through the playoffs in a minute. But we do have big wrestling news. Which is a big week in WWE. Because it's the 2023 WWE draft. Which I possibly am going to make a video out of. Like grading the draft picks. It's going to be very similar to NBA related. At the trade deadline where I graded every team at the deadline. I don't know how exactly I'll do it. Also because Friday I'm going to be very busy watching the Grizzlies game. And obviously the draft is before that. It'd be a very weird time span to fit all that in. I will make some draft related video in the next couple of days. So, but before we do that, we have this big announcement, which is in the title of this video. Now, I'll admit, I'm still confused about it, but I think I'm confusing myself more than I need to. So, Triple H, Papa H, Paul Levesque, as some would call him, announced the return/debut, I'm just going to say the re-debut of the World Heavyweight Championship. Because each brand deserves a World Heavyweight Champion, because Roman Reigns doesn't appear on every brand and has 2 world championships, so you get the point. And it's definitely weird because I don't know a logical way they could have got one, or probably the best example in this case is the WWE Championship off of Roman Reigns. Like, they obviously could have just started doing what they did with the tag team titles, and there's he has to defend one. But it's just we've went a whole year with him defending both. It just would have been weird. I don't know a logical way they could have done it. There definitely probably is one. I just can't think of it. But I'm also pretty sure Triple H probably wanted to bring in this championship, a new presentation, which makes sense. My opinion on what the championship title looks like, I don't hate it. I know a lot of fans are very pissed off that it's there are big logos in the middle. I understand what that, but it's just like, my problem with it, I think it was a lot similar to the IC title, which you just want to differentiate your championships. But I also obviously I haven't measured them. There's not been an eye test, but it's just like, even like measurement wise, they look similar in size. Where the World Championship is supposed to be the bigger, badder, better championship. I think they could have done a little bit better to make it a little bit different from the IC title, but it's not the end all be all. I don't hate it. This is a moral story. I think I'd have to actually see someone holding the championship up for me to be like, yes, this is out of the park, or it's off the base. Baseball references, I'm not good at. But my problem, my question, which I don't think there's an answer to, and is, again, I'm confusing myself with, is Roman Reigns is the WWE Undisputed Universal Champion. And we've all thought that he won that, or he's still champion after WrestleMania to break the 1,000-day mark, which makes sense. It happens at Night of Champions, which is later next month. Also, I did forget Backlash is next weekend. I was like, this is a big week for WWE. Like, that was the other thing I was forgetting. But Night of Champions should be a big deal. Should be a big event. It will be an interesting watch. I don't have no clue who the hell Roman Reigns is going to face, though. But, again, we'll get to that when we get to that. I would like to see them unify and Roman only have one championship, which a lot of people want to see that. I think the best thing out of that is that we get another championship title design. Problem is, a lot of people are going to complain about that, but that's besides the point. So the thing I'm confused about, and I'm confusing myself about, is we've seen 2 world championships unified / been undisputed in WWE history before. Again, definitely 2 that I know of. There might be another case like way, long time ago, but 2001 / 2002, Chris Jericho defeated Stone Cold and The Rock in the same night to unify the WCW and WWF World Heavyweight Champions. So he's undisputed champion. The difference is the WWF ain't care about the WCW title history, so they were obviously just like, we're going to throw this away. The WWF title history continues, which makes sense. Undisputed champion, there's the whole championship, a new championship, which I love that design, but that's besides the point. Then, 2013, we saw the WWE and the World Heavyweight Championships unified because there's a brand split. They wanted 2 championships, which almost bit my tongue, and that making me freaking throat. Okay, I bit my tongue the other day. It hurt like an MFer, and then I almost did it again now, and so I'm just getting flashbacks. But that's so TLC 2013, Randy Orton becomes the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. And then, obviously, months later, we see Bryan win it, we see Cena win it, we see Brock win it, and they unify the championships again, and there's only one championship title, and the World Heavyweight Championship history has ended. Where now, you've got 2 champions, or the Roman holding both the championships. If we go and understand this concept of having it be an undisputed championship, that means one of these titles' histories has to win. Now, I've been thinking out loud, but it's just like, this Universal title, since it's been around, has been pretty much hated. The first moment that people saw it, they were booing and crapping on the title design, which is 100% understandable. Finn Balor, the first champion, held it for a day. Kevin Owens, I love Kevin Owens. I'm glad he got a World Championship title reign. But the WWE obviously didn't think it was a good enough reign if they gave the championship to Bill Goldberg, who held it for a month and did nothing with it. Then the next champion we saw was Brock Lesnar, who had great title matches. It was just on an every other month basis, and we hated that. And then he eventually loses it to Roman Reigns, who has to vacate it for sad reasons that, again, we didn't anticipate happening, but it happened. Brock wins it back, loses it to Seth, who we love Seth. That was not the best title reign. He had a great match with AJ, and then he faced Baron Corbin. Which, I don't hate Baron Corbin, but it was just like, at that time period, WWE fans definitely didn't like him. And seeing several title defenses against him didn't help. And then, Brock won it back, gave it back to Seth. Then, Bray Wyatt, The Fiend, won it. Which, again, like Kevin Owens. Like, he had a worse title reign than Kevin Owens, in my opinion. But again, it obviously wasn't that good. They gave it to Bill Goldberg, who lost the championship after a month. They did nothing with it. Obviously, he was supposed to face Roman. It was supposed to be a big deal. Roman didn't compete, which, again, we understand. He lost to Strowman, which I know a lot of people don't like Strowman now. He did deserve a title reign at some point, and then he got it, but nobody remembers it because it was during the pandemic. Then he lost to Bray Wyatt, who, guess what, lost to Roman Reigns, and this is now when the championship title matters. Because he's held this championship for 1,000 days. He's made this championship a big deal. Where I obviously am not going over the WWE title history because it's 50, 60 years. That lineage, that timeline is that much long. So, my problem / question is, if they were to undispute / unify these championships, what happens to the lineage? Because in history, it shows that the title that is not the WWE Championship just ends. It is retired. It is acknowledged, pun intended. Where I think the problem with it now is that we're in this case of Roman having this historic title reign, being 1,000+ days. It kind of would also make sense. It's just like, you make it to 1,000 days, it ends. That could make sense. I think it'd kind of be a slap in the face, but it makes somewhat sense. But it's just kind of like, I want to see them unify this the moral of the story. I want to see them unify the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship. That way we get a new championship title design, and Roman doesn't have to carry 2 championships around, and it helps the World Heavyweight Championship that they just added, because we got 2 other World Championships over here that's just kind of like, this one already is the little brother. Now it hella looks like the little brother championship. It's a very weird situation that hopefully we get an answer to, and I anticipate that we will. And again, I confused myself even more than I needed to. Also, Cody Rhodes does not need to be anywhere near that World Heavyweight Championship. His whole time being back in WWE, he wanted the WWE Championship, which obviously was a lot different than the one that his father wanted, and that whole finish the story bull crap that we've been listening to. Because he needs to beat Roman. He has to be the one to beat Roman, or people are going to be hella pissed and just going, like, the odds of winning, I don't know if they're doing a tournament, a battle royal, a ladder match. We'll see when it happens. But it would mean a lot more if you beat the guy that's held this championship for 1,000 days than if you win. I know, like, it's going to be harder to win a tournament or a match with multiple, because I definitely don't think they're going to do a one-on-one matchup, obviously. But you get the point. He has to beat Roman. So you got to keep him away from this new championship, which leads to the question, who should be this first champion? Which, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't have an answer. I didn't think of this question until now. I think everyone is pointing and thinking Seth freaking Rollins, which makes a lot of sense. Maybe him. Maybe Drew McIntyre. Maybe Gunther. I don't think Gunther's going to be world champion for a while until he gets rid of the Intercontinental Championship, but who knows? I probably should have thought of this a lot earlier. I think the best answer is Seth. So, that is it for the wrestling spiel of this video. Now we're off to the playoffs, which, again, the playoffs have been good and bad. I think it's a case of me being way too picky and wanting it to go perfectly and how I wanted to see it. And consider a lot of teams that I wanted to see win haven't. It's just, I've been upset. And also, like I said, we've had several injuries that have hurt some matchups, but we'll get to it when we get to it. So, first series we will talk about Sixers and Nets. The last time, also, by the way, the last time I talked about these matchups, it was after one game. So, we've seen a lot of games happen in these matchups. So, Sixers and Nets. I expect the Nets to win one freaking game. And they didn't. They had a game where Joel Embiid didn't even play. At their home arena, they didn't win. Also, I know it's a long-ass time ago now, but Embiid should have got ejected after he tried to kick Nick Claxton in the nuts. Because that was intentional. But you're not ejecting the soon-to-be MVP 2 minutes into a freaking playoff game. It would have made the series a lot more interesting, but again, Embiid missed the next game, and they still couldn't win. So who knows what would have happened there. But I know it's a hot take. The Nets, y'all got to get Damian Lillard. He was there in the crowd. He was teasing y'all. Y'all got to get Damian Lillard, or I don't know. The Nets are they're in a weird situation where they have to compete because they obviously don't have their picks, and the picks that they're getting coming in is just kind of a nice luxury. They're like, oh yeah, we do have this pick from the Suns, so I think they don't give up too much for Damian Lillard because he obviously gave up a lot to get Harden, and it bit you in the ass. But Sixers, hopefully Embiid is healthy for this matchup in the next round. Who they'll be against, we don't know yet, but we'll see when we see. Next, Nuggets and Timberwolves. I'll be 100% honest. I did not watch a lot of these matchups because they were very late at night and other matchups are normally going on. But the Timberwolves definitely made this a way more interesting series than we anticipated. Anthony Edwards had some great performances. It definitely sucks because the way that Game 5 ended, it kind of is taken away from his performances. But I'm not even going to mention that. I kind of half-assed did. Like I said, in my video where I was talking about things I want to see happen in the offseason, I anticipate they're going to run this team back just because it's going to be very difficult to make a big move and it actually be effective. The Nuggets look like the serious contender that we thought of at the beginning of the year and not in the last couple of months, so I'm glad to see that they are turned it up. They've got a tough matchup in the Phoenix Suns, which this has kind of been my biggest disappointment of the playoffs, which we should have expected it. So, y'all know me. I love Russell Westbrook. I was on cloud 9 after the last shooting the breeze because Russell Westbrook blocked Devin Booker. The Clippers won the game. I'm like, yes, this is going to be a great series. Game 2 happens. Back and forth matchup, but the Suns even the series up. And then Kawhi Leonard is hurt. And this is very similar to the last time in the playoffs, 2021, where he plays it off. We don't think it's like anything serious. And now the series is done. It's a torn meniscus. The Clippers have to stop. Like, obviously, I know it's difficult to like get a test and you don't know the injury severity right away, but it's just like, this is twice. The last 2 times in the playoffs where your main guy got hurt. You led fans on to believe that he could come back, but just because we know who Kawhi Leonard is, we don't expect him to come back. And it's just like, then the injury is like very significant. So when I Googled it, torn meniscus, 3 to 6 months. The season starts back in 6 months, obviously, but with it being Kawhi Leonard, we don't know when the hell he's going to come back. It also does not help. It is also more triggering that they're like, Paul George could come back in the second round. This was literally Game 5. Like, there's just like reports like, Paul George, they go to the second round, is going to come back. Y'all's not making it out of the second round, like the first round. It just sucks. It sucks that Russell Westbrook had this opportunity to go anywhere that he wanted, and where he chose to go got the injury bug on their 2 best players. It definitely sucks. It's something that we've had to become accustomed to now. Devin Booker, to be fair, has been on fire. He definitely, I'm not going to say you forget Kevin Durant's on his team, but it's just like Devin Booker has took over. There's probably a pun I could have made, but it's just like, I was so frustrated with the Clippers' injuries that I kind of looked over the Suns. There, I said it. Also, I don't want the Suns to win. That way that I look smart. Which, the Clippers kind of made me look like an idiot because I said at the deadline, if they got Russell Westbrook, they would have the best 10-man rotation. Now, with that being said, like, we never saw the full 10-man rotation. And it doesn't help you take the 2 best players out of it. That's not how the crap works, obviously. So, but the other take that I had at the deadline was, I don't think the Suns are going to win it just because they have not played together. And their first actual matchup against a serious team, they lost, which obviously they played 8, 10 games, the big 3, 4, however, with Durant. Let's just say with Durant. And again, like I said, Game 1 they lost. Game 2 was to the wire. Then it was just kind of an uneven matchup then. But it is what it is. You got to live with this crap. So, a lot of people want to see the Clippers break up and just rebuild. I don't think that's going to happen. Kawhi and Paul George are on the Clippers because they want to be in home. They want to be in California. Russell Westbrook, I would be shocked. I'd be shocked if he's not on the Clippers next year. I think it'd be more of a money issue than anything else. But I would be shocked. We'll see. It's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens. But I don't think they're going to rebuild, especially because they got their main 2 guys under contract for the next year. And when they're out there together, They're very good. Problem is, they're very rarely out there together. So, Suns-Nuggets will be an interesting matchup. And it's going to be a rematch of what we saw 2 years ago. But at least Jamal Murray is here this time around. Next, Cavs and Knicks. Which, again, I kind of crapped on the series earlier. And a lot of fans have been happy and excited with this series because of the Knicks. And, again, this is going to make me seem like a Knicks hater. I'm not really a Knicks hater. But it's just, the Knicks are supposed to be the biggest franchise in the NBA. You can debate between them and the Lakers just with their history, their building, their aura, the city that they're in. When you look at the Lakers, they have 2 superstars. You look at the Knicks, they don't. And obviously, when you look at their history in the past 25 years, they never... Patrick Ewing, obviously, probably the best. Him or Walt Frazier. I'm not going to do this whole Nick rabbit hole, but just like Carmelo, you could argue if Amar was a superstar, but just like the Knicks, I have been accustomed to being a failure or sucking. We can get in this whole failure debate later on with Giannis, but that's besides the point. But just like they have not been that good. And now, when I look at this team, I'm not the biggest Julius Randle fan. To be fair, I don't know many people that are. And obviously, he hasn't played the greatest in this series because they got set. To be fair, I didn't watch Game 5. It was on NBA TV and the Grizzlies were playing, so I did not watch Game 5. Jalen Brunson, I got no problem with. RJ, he's very inconsistent. And when he has bad games, he's very sour and bitter towards it. That's understandable. But when he's good, he wants to be acknowledged and forget about the bad. Josh Hart, it's going to sound like I'm giving a backhanded compliment. I'm not. I'm frustrated as hell that 28 teams at the trade deadline did not try their darndest to try and trade for him. And essentially, Portland gave him away for free. I'm obviously a big Cam Reddish guy, but just like Cam Reddish didn't do anything for Portland. The pick is going to be very low, and they just gave him up for nothing. And he does everything. He is fighting for... That is a guy you want on every team. Every team wants their Josh Hart. And the Knicks have their Josh Hart. And obviously he fits well with the Knicks because he's played with Jalen Brunson before and all that. So what I'm getting at is I'm not the biggest Knicks fan. I don't like seeing everybody blowing smoke up the Knicks' ass just because I don't think they're that good. But to be fair, they have not experienced winning in the first round in a long time. I'm not going to take away from their moment anymore. Also, I really like the Cavs. I really like Garland, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley. I like both. Donovan Mitchell. The whole talk of this series was he's going to take over. It's against the Knicks. He's very upset that they didn't trade for him. Now you kind of gave him a reason to be like, yep, I'm glad we didn't trade for him. He did not have a good series. So this series is supposed to go 7 games. It went 5. Again, it's in my opinion, a lot of people were happy with the series. I just think I was disappointed. That's just me being a hater. And I know that I didn't say anything good from this series, but it is what it is. Knicks and Heat will be hella interesting because obviously they were able to slow down the Cavs, who I think their main downfall is they did not have a good bench. Miami, their bench is very questionable as well, especially when you compare it to the Knicks bench. So I'll be interested to see how this happens. But let's go right ahead and talk about the Bucks and Heat. If Jimmy Butler leads this bad Miami Heat team to the conference finals again, you have to ultimately give him his flowers, acknowledge him as a top 10 player, or even higher. Like right now, we're obviously in the playoffs. We're living in the moment. He is the best player at this moment. Now, obviously, the playoffs can end. It's going to be a whole different discussion. But he beat the number 1 seed almost by himself. Obviously, it's a team effort, but he dominated. He did everything that he needed to do. Obviously, Giannis missed 2.5 games because he only played the first quarter of game 1, which obviously was very frustrating. Obviously, coming back from a serious injury in the playoffs while you're down was going to be a hard battle to overcome. I I had a good analogy, but it just makes me seem weird. But it's just kind of like, imagine you get stung. The original analogy I had involved a weapon, where this time it's going to involve an animal. Imagine you get stung by a bee, and you're trying to like get the bee away from you and like get him to unsting you. And so that's Giannis. He gets hurt, he gets stung by the bee. And instead of waiting and resting, the bee stings you even more. That is what happened with this. They expected Giannis to come back and to change the series, and I love Giannis. He, going into this, was the best player in the world. You can still make an argument that he is, because obviously he was injured. But the Bucks crapped the bed, especially because the consensus of this Miami Heat team is that they suck. That it's a bad team. Also, definitely very forgotten, they lost a play-in game to the Atlanta Hawks. And it's just kind of like, Miami Heat fans are like, yes, we're ready to end this season and blow this team up. You can trade everybody. But now, I don't know what the hell they think. They're living on cloud nine because they didn't expect to win. And Jimmy Butler is at a different level right now. Obviously, he doesn't think that. He thinks he's on this level all the time, which makes sense. You should always think that highly of you. But you just look at it, it's a way bigger deal. The consensus title favorite is out. It has made this playoffs a lot more interesting. Obviously, Giannis wasn't there the whole time. But when you still look at the Bucks, you had the guy that finished second in Defensive Player of the Year. You had Drew Holiday, who I love Drew Holiday. Made the All-Star game this year. You have Chris Middleton, who was the solidified number 2. You can even make an argument who's the number 2 between him and Holiday. Also, the Miami Heat don't have Tyler Hero. And probably aren't getting him back for a minute. There's a good chance we see Tyler Hero play again, which, going into the series, or after game 1, you've been ludicrous to, like, even think that. I've got a burp, possibly even barf. So that's what I'm trying. Let me get a drink. It's been a minute since I got a drink. But the Bucks crapped the bed. That's just the best way to put it. They put a lot of pressure on Giannis. I'm saying pretty much the Bucks did, the NBA fan bases did, just in general, a lot of pressure was on Giannis, especially I'm giving Giannis the benefit of the doubt because he was injured. That's just me. That's just me. I'm a nice guy, and I love Giannis, and I understand it. And he was obviously asked after the end of the game, end of the season, was this season a failure? And I've been going back and forth because I don't really know. Because his analogy was, Michael Jordan played 16-ish years. He won 6 championships, or all the other years failures. No, he said no. There's just steps in the direction that you're going. Obviously, this is not the exact quote. But I think if you were to ask Michael Jordan, he would acknowledge that the seasons he did not win championships as failures. The only reason I would say it's a failure is definitely a disappointment. 100% a disappointment. You were expected to be in the conference finals, and you only won 1 playoff game. A team, because it's not, the number 1 seed was not Giannis Antetokounmpo. The number 1 seed was the Milwaukee Bucks, and y'all won 1 playoff game. The season 110% was a disappointment. They 100% need to make some changes in the offseason. Now, that's a whole video discussion, like things I want to see in the offseason. But it's just like, the guy, like Giannis is severely young. I don't know how old he is. Hey Siri, how old is Giannis Antetokounmpo? Let's see if this works. He's born in 94. I don't know. I can't do math off the top of my head that quick. 28. I don't think you're considered old in the NBA until you're 30. But obviously, every team would love Giannis. The guys surrounding him, though, Holiday, Middleton, Brook Lopez, not getting any younger. So that's why I think they need to start making the moves in the right direction. It definitely is going to bother the fan base. Like, I would imagine the most hated man in Milwaukee right now, or in Wisconsin in general, is Grayson Allen, because he kind of was the guy that had the ball at the very end and did nothing with it. The second guy is Mike Budenholzer, because there's probably some changes that he could have made that he didn't. The third, I would say Giannis, but if you hate Giannis in Milwaukee, if you hate Giannis in general, there's a problem with you. So, moral of the story, Milwaukee crapped the bed. Jimmy Butler is the main reason that happened. Now I'm giving Jimmy Butler his flowers. Everybody is. Jimmy Butler, for the longest time, was so misunderstood, but now we have to be accustomed to this happening a lot more. And he will also be in the thumbnail and the title of this video, just because this has been great watching Jimmy be able to do this stuff. So now we get on to the other 3 matchups that are continuing, and we will see Game 6s out of. The first being the Celtics and the Hawks, who play tonight. Obviously, a lot of people expected this to go 5, a gentleman's sweep. And an easy matchup in Game 5, the Celtics crapped the bed. They were up big, and then Trae Young did not go away. Obviously, like I said, I get just said with Milwaukee, it was just like they put so much pressure on Giannis. Where Trae Young, DeJounte Murray got suspended. I'm only upset about the suspension because Jason Tatum also put his hands on an official. No, he didn't go out of his way. He could have. It was definitely different than DeJounte, and DeJounte is understandable why he got suspended. And it's also understandable why Jason Tatum didn't get suspended, because it's a different situation. But it's just like, Atlanta kind of looked at it like, this is some BS. Let's keep this going. Now they've got a Game 6 at home. You would imagine the Celtics don't play with their meat, as Doc Rivers would say, or their food, as Doc Rivers would say. They end it. With DeJounte being back, it definitely is a more interesting matchup. And to see Trae Young in Game 5 and be back in rhythm makes it a lot more interesting. And be very interested. I would imagine the Bucks and the Celtics going into the playoffs were the 2 title favorites. Obviously, we're in the East. I think they were in general. They got eliminated. That'd be hella crazy. I would be surprised if that happens, though. Next, Kings and the Warriors. Kings had to win at home in Game 5, and they lost. And now the Warriors have a lot of momentum going. Y'all know me. I don't like the Warriors. It is what it is. I'm not going to go any further. Now, to end the video, the main thing that has drove my life crazy for the past week plus, the Lakers and Grizzlies. I'm a Grizzlies fan. Before the series, I did not like the Lakers. During the series, I especially don't like the Lakers. Laker fans. Lakers, I like Anthony Davis. Everybody else is very questionable. This series has took a lot out of me. And a good majority of that is due to Dillon Brooks, one of my old freaking players. Obviously, Dillon has been a big question mark for the Memphis Grizzlies for the past 2 years, especially this year. And obviously, he said what was on his mind about LeBron. And after his quotes about LeBron after Game 2, a lot of people were like, oh, you shouldn't have done that, but everything you said was true. He is old. Ha ha ha. I just, like, a lot of Grizzlies fans, it was very 50-50 between the Grizzlies fan base. They're like, yeah, we love it because everything they said was true. But I was like, you don't have to say anything. This is the problem that people have with us. Honestly, I don't care what the problem, but it's just like, just play basketball. Play basketball. Please play basketball. Especially because this is a highly competitive basketball, and it could come biting us in the ass. In Game 3, the Lakers came out, pow, smacked us right in the face. Dillon got ejected out of the game, which was understandable and all that crap. Game 4 took so much out of me. I was going to make this shooting the breeze after Game 4, but Game 4 irritated the absolute hell out of me and made me pull my hair out that I just couldn't. I was so upset. Up 7 points in the fourth quarter, and we're almost right there. 6 seconds left. The defensive player of the year, Jaren Jackson Jr., with a massive block, and we get a massive bucket from Desmond Bane, and then LeBron's like, let me just go ahead and score, and then we go to overtime. It's just like, I didn't expect overtime. It's just 5 minutes of misery. Now, Game 5 happened. We were back in the crib. Our guys were rolling, besides Dillon Brooks. Who knows? I'm not saying anything. Because I do not want to look like an ass. But I'm a Grizzlies fan. You should know how I'm thinking. So, that is that. I don't want to say anything. I will wait till after to say something. So, that is it for this Shooting the Breeze. My video schedule is going to be complex for the next couple weeks, obviously, because hopefully I'll be talking about the playoffs. But to be fair, the next couple of videos I won't be because, like I said, the ROH TV review tomorrow, which I don't know when that's going to happen because I'm going to watch the NFL draft. Also, freak. I should have said at the beginning of the video, Aaron Rodgers got traded. I'm a Packers fan. Hooray. Guess what? I made a whole video about that a whole month ago. It's just weird that now it's coming to an end. But you get the point. I was supposed to at the very end. I forgot. But big whoop. You made it 35 minutes in. You saw it. So ROH TV review some point Thursday night, Friday morning. Friday/Saturday at some point. Most likely we'll do something regarding night one of the WWE draft. Worst case scenario, I might wait till after we see both nights and combine it. Who knows? It's just going to depend on how I feel at that time. So, hopefully you all take care. Thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.